think you can get away with this? In my hotel?
Victoria Ashford's sharp voice sliced through the grand ballroom just as Grace Carter rushed forward with a stack of clean white towels. Before Grace could say a single word, 2 security guards grabbed her by the arms, stopping her in front of hundreds of guests. I don't understand, Grace stammered, struggling to free herself. Please, let me explain. You've done enough, Victoria snapped, glaring at the crimson stain spreading across her expensive white designer suit. Do you have any idea how much this dress costs? Grace's heart pounded. Ma'am, I didn't spill the wine. I was only trying to help. Liar. The single word echoed through the silent ballroom. Guests whispered among themselves. Cameras from the hotel's media team were still recording the charity gala, capturing every humiliating second. Grace could feel hundreds of eyes on her. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment, but she refused to cry. I've worked here for 4 years, she said softly. I've never lied to anyone. Victoria folded her arms. And now you've ruined the most important event this hotel has ever hosted. I don't want excuses. The billionaire owner pointed toward the entrance. Escort her out, she's fired. The guards hesitated. One of them, Marcus, looked at Grace with sympathy. Ma'am, maybe we should review the security footage first. Victoria's icy stare silenced him. Did I ask for your opinion? No, ma'am. Then do your job. Marcus lowered his head. I'm sorry, Grace. As the guards led her toward the exit, Grace turned around one last time. I hope one day, she whispered, her voice trembling, you'll know the truth. Victoria looked away without another word. The ballroom doors closed behind Grace. Silence hung in the air for only a moment before the orchestra resumed playing as though nothing had happened. But not everyone had returned their attention to the celebration. An elderly gentleman seated near the front quietly watched Victoria. He had witnessed the entire incident without saying a word. His thoughtful eyes lingered on the closed doors through which Grace had disappeared. Then he slowly placed his untouched glass on the table. Interesting, he thought. Very interesting. If stories about justice, redemption, and unexpected twists inspire you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. What would you have done if you were standing in that ballroom? Grace stepped outside into the cold evening air. The city lights blurred through the tears she had been fighting so hard to hold back. She finally let them fall. Her phone buzzed inside her handbag. She glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Normally, she answered every call. Not tonight. She declined it, slipped the phone back into her bag, and started the long walk home. There wasn't enough money for a taxi. There rarely was. Long before anyone at the Ashford Grand Hotel knew her name, Grace had learned that life rarely gave second chances. Every weekday began at exactly 5 in the morning. Before the sun appeared, Grace quietly climbed out of bed, careful not to wake the little girl sleeping beside her. She smiled as she gently tucked the blanket around 8-year-old Lily. You keep dreaming, sweetheart, she whispered. Grace entered the tiny kitchen and opened the nearly empty cupboard. Half a loaf of bread, a few eggs, some tea. She sighed with relief. Enough for breakfast. As the kettle boiled, another cough echoed from the bedroom. A deep, painful cough. Grace immediately walked in. Her mother, Evelyn, struggled to sit upright. You should have woken me, Grace said. I'm fine. You've been saying that for months. Evelyn smiled weakly. I'm old. No. Grace knelt beside the bed. You're my mother. She helped her drink a little water before placing the morning medicine beside her. I'll buy more after work. Evelyn frowned. Grace, those medicines are expensive. I'll manage. You always say that. And I always do. Neither woman mentioned the truth. Grace had already delayed paying the rent to buy those medicines. Another missed payment, and the landlord might force them out. Yet somehow, every month, Grace found a way. Lily soon wandered into the kitchen, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Morning, Mommy." Grace instantly smiled. "Morning, Princess. Are you working the big party today?" "I am." "Will there be rich people?" Grace laughed. "Very rich people. Maybe one of them will leave a huge tip." Grace gently tapped her daughter's nose. "Maybe." Lily looked thoughtful. "If they don't, that's okay." Grace tilted her head. "Why?" "Because you're already the richest mommy." Grace blinked. "Richest? You have me." Grace hugged her tightly. "Yes," she whispered, "I do." 40 minutes later, Grace kissed them both goodbye before beginning her daily walk to work. The Ashford Grand Hotel stood like a palace in the center of the city. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, luxury cars lined the entrance every day. Guests admired its elegance. Employees feared its owner, Victoria Ashford. Even before arriving, Grace could sense the tension. Workers rushed through the lobby carrying flower arrangements, expensive decorations, and trays of crystal glasses. "Grace!" Her best friend Maria hurried over. "Thank goodness you're here." "What happened?" "The owner's coming early." Grace smiled gently. "Then we'd better make everything perfect." Maria rolled her eyes. "You actually still smile on inspection days?" Grace laughed. "It makes the day easier." Maria shook her head. "I don't know how you do it." Grace picked up a cleaning cart. "Come on, we've got work to do." Within minutes, she noticed a young waiter accidentally drop an entire tray of polished wine glasses. The crash echoed through the hallway. The young man froze. "Oh no." His face turned pale. "I'm finished." Grace immediately knelt beside him. "Don't touch the broken glass." "I'm going to be fired." "No, you're not." "But these glasses cost a fortune." Grace smiled. "Glasses can be replaced." Jobs are harder to replace. She carefully helped him clean the mess before anyone else noticed. "Thank you," he whispered. "You saved me." Grace shook her head. "Just remember to help someone else when they need it." From the end of the hallway, someone had quietly witnessed the entire exchange. The housekeeping supervisor, Denise. Instead of appreciating Grace's kindness, Denise narrowed her eyes. Again, everyone admired Grace. Everyone trusted Grace. Employees listened to Grace more than they listened to their supervisors. Denise hated it. She folded her arms. "One day," she muttered to herself, "that smile of yours won't save you." Grace, unaware of Denise's growing resentment, pushed her cleaning cart toward the ballroom, completely unaware that before the day ended, her life would change forever. Grace had barely finished polishing the last row of chairs when the hotel manager hurried into the ballroom with panic written all over his face. "Everyone, listen up!" Conversation stopped instantly. "The owner has arrived." A wave of tension swept through the room. Employees straightened their uniforms. Waiters adjusted their ties. Housekeepers quickly hid their cleaning supplies behind decorative pillars. Only Grace remained calm. She quietly wiped one final fingerprint from a crystal table and smiled at Maria. "It'll be fine." Maria looked at her as if she had lost her mind. "Grace, I honestly don't know what planet you're from." Before Grace could answer, the ballroom doors opened. Victoria Ashford walked in without looking at anyone. Her charcoal gray suit fit perfectly, every step confident, every expression controlled. Behind her followed the general manager, 2 executives, and her personal assistant, Olivia, who carried a tablet filled with the day's schedule. Victoria glanced around the room once. "The flowers are wrong." The event planner blinked. "Excuse me, ma'am. The lilies should have been white, not cream." I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't impress investors. She continued walking. The curtains aren't fully aligned. The lighting over table 16 is uneven. Who approved this stage arrangement? Nobody answered. Victoria stopped walking. Did everyone suddenly forget how to speak? The general manager cleared his throat. We'll fix everything immediately. You have 30 minutes. She resumed walking. Grace quietly stepped aside to allow Victoria to pass. As she did, she noticed something. One of the flower arrangements near the entrance leaned dangerously close to a decorative candle. Grace gently moved it a few inches away. Victoria noticed. For once, she said without stopping, someone is paying attention. Grace nodded politely. Thank you, ma'am. Victoria had already walked away. Maria leaned closer. Did she just compliment you? I think she noticed the flowers. No, Maria smiled. She noticed you. Grace simply returned to work. She never chased praise. She believed doing the right thing was enough. Upstairs in her private office overlooking the city, Victoria stood beside the glass windows. Olivia handed her a folder. The investors from Wellington International have landed. What time will they arrive? 6 o'clock. And Mr. Harrison? He confirmed he'll attend. Victoria finally turned around. Good. Olivia smiled. If everything goes well tonight, the expansion project could become the biggest investment in the company's history. Victoria's expression remained unchanged. It will go well. Olivia hesitated. There's something else. What is it? The board asked whether you've considered announcing the employee appreciation program. Victoria walked toward her desk. I don't run charities. It's meant to improve morale. My employees are paid. Some believe recognition increases loyalty. Victoria looked directly at her assistant. Loyalty comes from discipline. Olivia wisely ended the conversation. She had worked for Victoria long enough to know there was no point arguing. Years earlier, after inheriting Ashford Hotels from her late father, Victoria had transformed the company into one of the most profitable luxury hotel chains in the country. Investors admired her. Competitors feared her. Employees obeyed her. But very few actually knew her. She believed kindness was often mistaken for weakness. Mistakes cost money. Money destroyed businesses. Businesses fed thousands of families. Therefore, perfection wasn't optional. It was survival. Or at least, that's what she believed. Back downstairs, preparations continued at full speed. Grace pushed her cart toward the lobby when she heard a child crying. A little boy stood alone near the revolving doors. His tiny hands rubbed his eyes as guests walked past without noticing. Grace immediately knelt beside him. Hey there, the boy sniffled. I can't find my mommy. What's your name? Ethan. Don't worry, Ethan, she smiled warmly. We'll find her together. The boy slowly stopped crying. Grace held out her hand. Would you like to help me look? He nodded. Within minutes, a frantic woman came running through the lobby. Ethan! The boy ran into her arms. I'm so sorry, the woman said, holding back tears. I only turned around for a second. Grace smiled. He's very brave. The woman reached into her purse. Please, let me thank you. Grace gently pushed the money back. You already did. What do you mean? You found your son. The woman looked at Grace with admiration. There aren't many people like you anymore. Grace simply wished them a wonderful evening before returning to work. From the reception desk, Marcus, one of the security guards, had watched everything. He smiled. No matter what happens around here, he said to another guard, Grace always makes this place feel more like home. The other guard nodded. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about her. Neither of them noticed Denise standing nearby. Her jaw tightened. Again, Grace, always Grace. Every compliment directed at Grace felt like an insult to her. She quietly walked toward the surveillance office. Inside sat Daniel, the young technician responsible for monitoring hundreds of security cameras throughout the hotel. "Busy day?" Denise asked casually. Daniel laughed. "The busiest this year." She leaned against the doorway. "You should probably back up the recordings after tonight." "I always do." "Good," she smiled. "You never know when footage might become important." Daniel frowned slightly, unsure what she meant. As evening approached, luxury cars lined the hotel's entrance. Celebrities, business executives, politicians, international guests. Everyone wanted to attend Victoria Ashford's charity gala. Grace and the housekeeping team worked tirelessly to ensure every hallway, staircase, and ballroom sparkled. Maria checked her watch. "Only 20 minutes left." Grace exhaled. "We're almost done." Just then, Olivia hurried into the ballroom. "Grace?" "Yes?" "The owner wants fresh towels placed near the VIP entrance immediately." "I'll take care of it." Grace loaded a stack of spotless white towels onto her cart. "I'll be right back." She headed toward the VIP entrance, unaware that Denise was watching her every move. Denise glanced across the room. One of the catering servers carried a silver tray filled with glasses of expensive red wine. The path he would take would cross directly in front of Grace. A slow smile appeared on Denise's face. She quietly stepped backward into the crowd. Everything was beginning to fall perfectly into place. Meanwhile, in another part of the ballroom, an elderly gentleman entered with the assistance of a walking cane. His suit was elegant but modest. Very few guests recognized him. Victoria certainly hadn't noticed him yet. But several investors immediately stood to greet him with great respect. The old man smiled politely, exchanged a few words with them, then looked around the magnificent ballroom. His eyes eventually settled on Grace as she carefully arranged clean towels near the entrance. He watched her help an elderly guest find her seat before quietly returning to her duties without expecting thanks. The old man smiled to himself. "Character," he murmured. "You can always recognize true character." At that exact moment, the catering server carrying the tray of red wine approached the VIP entrance. Grace turned around with the towels in her hands. Denise took one silent step forward from behind the crowd. Then, with a subtle movement almost impossible to notice, she stretched out one foot directly into the server's path. The young man stumbled. The silver tray tilted. Dozens of crystal glasses flew into the air, and the first splash of red wine hurtled straight toward Victoria Ashford, who had just stepped through the ballroom doors. The tray crashed against the marble floor. Crystal glasses shattered in every direction. A wave of expensive red wine splashed across Victoria Ashford's white designer jacket before anyone could react. The ballroom fell silent. The orchestra stopped playing. Even the photographers lowered their cameras. Victoria looked down at the deep crimson stain spreading across the front of her outfit. Her breathing became slow and heavy. Nobody dared to move. The young server stood frozen, his face drained of color. I'm sorry," he whispered. Before he could say another word, Grace rushed forward with the clean towels. "Ma'am, please don't move," she said gently. "If we act quickly, we may be able to stop the stain." She reached out with one towel. Victoria looked up. At that exact moment, Denise quietly slipped behind the crowd, disappearing before anyone noticed her. Victoria's eyes landed on the towel in Grace's hand, then on the wine, then back on Grace. Her expression hardened. "So," she said coldly, "it was you." Grace blinked in confusion. "What?" "You caused this." Grace shook her head immediately. "No, ma'am, I didn't." "Liar." Grace looked around desperately. The server tripped. Victoria took one step closer. "And somehow you're standing here with towels already in your hands. You asked me to bring fresh towels to the VIP entrance. I don't want excuses." Grace's voice trembled. I'm not making excuses. I was only following instructions. Several employees exchanged nervous glances. Maria stepped forward. Ma'am. Victoria turned sharply. Did I ask you to speak? Maria lowered her eyes. No. Victoria looked back at Grace. You've embarrassed this hotel in front of guests from around the world. I didn't spill the wine. Enough! Her voice echoed through the ballroom. Security! Marcus and another guard hurried over. Victoria pointed directly at Grace. Escort her out. Marcus frowned. Ma'am, I don't think she... Now! Marcus looked at Grace. She simply nodded. It's okay. His heart sank. He knew she wasn't the kind of person who would lie. Still, orders were orders. As he gently held Grace's arm, the young server suddenly found the courage to speak. Ma'am. Everyone turned toward him. I tripped. Victoria looked at him. What did you say? I said, his voice shook. I tripped. Grace quickly interrupted. It wasn't his fault. The server stared at her in disbelief. She was trying to protect him. Victoria folded her arms. So now you're covering for each other. No. Grace swallowed. I'm telling you the truth. The truth? Victoria laughed bitterly. The truth is that my guests just watch complete incompetence. She looked toward the general manager. I want every employee reminded exactly what happens when standards are ignored. Several workers lowered their heads. Fear spread across the room. Grace's eyes filled with tears, not because she had lost her job, because no one was listening. Marcus quietly spoke. Grace? She nodded. I'll go. As they walked toward the ballroom doors, Lily's drawing slipped from Grace's apron pocket. A small piece of paper floated onto the polished floor. Marcus picked it up. It showed a smiling stick figure holding hands with a little girl beneath bright yellow sunshine. At the bottom were carefully written words in a child's handwriting. My mommy is my hero. Marcus looked at Grace. You forgot this. She smiled sadly. Thank you. She folded the picture carefully and placed it back into her pocket. Then she disappeared through the ballroom doors. The heavy doors closed behind her. Inside, conversation slowly resumed. But not everyone returned to celebrating. The elderly gentleman sitting among the investors quietly watched everything. He turned to the man beside him. What is the young woman's name? Grace Carter. And she's been dismissed? Apparently. The old man nodded thoughtfully. I see. He said nothing else. Outside the hotel, rain had begun to fall. Grace stood beneath the entrance canopy for a few seconds, trying to steady her breathing. Her entire body trembled. 4 years. 4 years of arriving early, working late, helping guests, helping coworkers, missing birthdays, skipping meals, walking miles every day. Gone. In less than 5 minutes. Marcus hurried outside after her. Grace. She turned. He looked genuinely distressed. I'm so sorry. You don't have to apologize. I should have said something. You tried. It wasn't enough. Grace forced a smile. Sometimes life isn't fair. Marcus hesitated. If you need a reference for another job... Thank you. I mean it. I know. He reached into his pocket. This fell from your locker earlier. It was her employee name badge. She stared at it silently. Her photograph smiled back at her. Employee number 2847. Grace Carter. Housekeeping. She slowly accepted it. I guess I won't need this anymore. Marcus couldn't find the right words. I've never met anyone who deserved this less. Grace looked toward the glowing hotel behind them. I just hope one day... She paused. The truth finds its way to the right people. Then she walked away into the rain. Marcus watched until she disappeared around the corner. Something about today didn't feel right. Not at all. Back inside, Victoria had changed into another elegant outfit. Only Olivia noticed that Victoria's mood had become even colder. The investors are ready for your speech, Olivia said. Victoria nodded. She stepped onto the stage. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." Applause filled the ballroom. She spoke confidently about excellence, leadership, integrity, respect. The words flowed perfectly. Yet as she spoke, the elderly gentleman continued watching her with quiet interest. When the applause ended, he leaned toward another investor. "Tell me." "Yes, sir." "Does she always speak about respect?" The investor shifted uncomfortably. "Well, I believe I just watched her define it rather differently." The investor remained silent. The old man smiled faintly. "Interesting." Meanwhile, Grace reached the small apartment she shared with her mother and daughter. Before opening the door, she wiped away every tear. She forced herself to smile. Lily shouldn't have to carry today's pain. The moment she entered, Lily came running. "Mommy!" Grace caught her in a hug. "Hi, sweetheart. How was the big party?" Grace froze. For a brief moment, she couldn't answer. Lily looked up. "Mommy?" Grace kissed her forehead. "It was..." She searched for the right word. "A very long day." Evelyn slowly walked into the living room. One look at Grace's face told her everything. What happened? Grace waited until Lily ran back to finish her homework. Only then did she whisper, "I lost my job." Evelyn's hand covered her mouth. "Oh, Grace!" "They fired me." "For what?" "They thought I ruined an event." "But you didn't." "I know." Grace finally broke down. She buried her face in her mother's shoulder and cried like she hadn't cried in years. "I'm so tired, Mom. I'm trying so hard. I do everything I can. Why does it never seem to be enough?" Evelyn gently stroked her daughter's hair. "It is enough." "No." Grace shook her head. "If it were enough." She looked toward Lily's room. "Oh, I'd be able to give her a better life." A soft knock interrupted them. Grace wiped her eyes. "I'll get it." She opened the apartment door. No one was there. Only a small envelope rested on the welcome mat. Her name was written neatly across the front. Grace Carter. She looked down the hallway. Empty. Confused, she picked it up and slowly opened it. Inside was a simple handwritten note. It read, "Don't lose hope. Someone saw everything." Grace read the note again. "Don't lose hope. Someone saw everything." She turned it over. Nothing. No signature. No address. No clue who had left it. Evelyn stepped closer. "What is it?" Grace handed her the note. Her mother read it twice before looking back at her. "Someone believes you." Grace sighed. "I wish I knew who." Lily peeked out from her bedroom. "Mommy?" Grace quickly slipped the note into her pocket. "Yes, sweetheart." "Are you okay?" Grace forced another smile. "I am now." Lily ran over and hugged her. "You always tell me that the truth wins." Grace swallowed the lump in her throat. "I do." "So it'll win this time, too." Grace kissed her forehead. "I hope so." That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Grace remained awake, staring at the ceiling. Rent was due in 5 days. Her mother's medication would run out by the weekend. There was barely enough food left for 3 days. She closed her eyes. "Lord," she whispered, "I don't know what's coming next, but please don't let me lose hope." The following morning, the Ashford Grand Hotel looked just as magnificent as always. Guests checked in. Luxury cars pulled into the entrance. Employees hurried through the lobby. To visitors, nothing had changed. Behind the scenes, everything had. Marcus entered the security office carrying a cup of coffee. Daniel was already reviewing recordings from the previous evening. "Long night?" Marcus asked. Daniel rubbed his eyes. "You have no idea." Marcus leaned over the monitor. "Can we look at the ballroom footage?" Daniel clicked through several camera angles, then his forehead creased. "That's strange." "What?" "The recording is incomplete." "What do you mean?" It skips nearly 3 minutes. Marcus frowned. Can footage just disappear? It shouldn't. Daniel opened another file. The system automatically records everything. So where's the missing part? I don't know. Marcus crossed his arms. The missing part wouldn't happen to include the wine incident, would it? Daniel slowly nodded. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Someone deleted it. Across the building, Victoria sat at the head of the executive conference table. The morning meeting had barely begun when Olivia entered carrying a folder. You asked for overnight updates. Victoria nodded. Go ahead. Olivia took a careful breath. The gala received excellent media coverage. Good. Guest satisfaction remained high. Victoria waited. There is one concern. What concern? A few investors requested private meetings. Victoria looked up. Why? They didn't specify. They're probably discussing expansion. I don't think so. Victoria narrowed her eyes. What aren't you telling me? Olivia placed another document on the table. 3 investors left earlier than expected. That's unusual. They also declined breakfast. Victoria's expression remained calm, but something about Olivia's tone unsettled her. Who? Olivia listed their names. Victoria recognized each one. Influential. Powerful. Not people who normally left important events early. She dismissed the thought. I'm sure it's nothing. Olivia wasn't convinced. Meanwhile, Grace spent the morning visiting businesses across the city. Restaurant, bakery, supermarket, office building. Every answer sounded the same. We're sorry. We're not hiring. Leave your resume. We'll call if something becomes available. No one called. By lunchtime, her feet ached. She sat on a park bench with a bottle of water instead of lunch. It was cheaper. An elderly street vendor noticed her. You look tired. Grace smiled politely. It's been a busy day. He handed her a warm meat pie. She reached for her purse. I can't afford... It's already paid for. Grace looked confused. By who? The old man pointed across the street. A woman wearing sunglasses climbed into a black car before Grace could see her face. The car drove away. Grace stared after it. Again. Someone had helped her without revealing themselves. Back at the hotel, Denise walked confidently into Victoria's office. You wanted yesterday's incident report. Victoria accepted the file. I've already prepared statements from everyone involved. Victoria skimmed through it. The server admitted responsibility? Yes. Then why was Grace involved? Denise answered without hesitation. She tried to interfere. Victoria nodded slowly. I see. Denise remained composed. There was confusion. Victoria closed the file. Grace had worked here for years. She did. Any disciplinary history? None. Victoria looked up. So yesterday was completely out of character. Denise smiled politely. Pressure affects people differently. Victoria accepted the explanation. Very well. As Denise turned to leave, Olivia stepped into the office. Excuse me. Denise stopped. Olivia spoke quietly. The chairman of Wellington International has requested a private meeting. Victoria smiled slightly. Excellent. When? Olivia hesitated. Now. Inside the hotel's executive lounge, the elderly gentleman from the gala calmly stirred his tea. Victoria entered confidently. Mr. Harrison? The old man smiled. Miss Ashford. They shook hands. It was an honor having you at our hotel. I appreciate the invitation. Victoria sat opposite him. I hope we can discuss the expansion project. Oh, he smiled gently. We'll certainly discuss something. Victoria sensed the change in his tone. I'm listening. Mr. Harrison folded his hands. Tell me, what qualities do you value most in your employees? Victoria answered immediately. Discipline. efficiency, professionalism, and honesty. He nodded thoughtfully. What about compassion? Victoria smiled politely. This is business. So that's a no? I simply believe emotions shouldn't interfere with standards. Mr. Harrison looked directly into her eyes. I watched you yesterday. Victoria remained silent. I saw a frightened young woman trying to help. I saw her dismissed before anyone asked what happened. Victoria's expression stiffened. She was responsible. Were you certain? The evidence suggested, or your anger suggested. The room fell quiet. Victoria leaned back. With respect, Mr. Harrison, I'm responsible for maintaining standards. So am I. Victoria frowned. I don't understand. Mr. Harrison smiled. My company doesn't just invest in buildings. It invests in leaders. Victoria's confidence faltered slightly. He continued, I've spent 40 years learning one lesson. You can discover someone's true character in the way they treat people who have nothing to offer them. Victoria didn't answer. I came yesterday intending to finalize our partnership. He slowly stood, but after what I witnessed, he sighed. I need more time. Victoria rose immediately. Mr. Harrison, he politely raised his hand. This isn't about the wine. It's about the decision. He picked up his cane. I sincerely hope you discover the difference. Then he walked away. Victoria remained standing in silence. For the first time in years, someone had questioned her leadership to her face. Later that afternoon, Marcus found Daniel still studying the surveillance system. I recovered something. Marcus hurried over. What? The ballroom cameras automatically create temporary backup files. Marcus's eyes widened. Can you restore them? I'm trying. A loading bar slowly appeared on the monitor. 5%, 10%, 20%. Daniel smiled. If the backup isn't corrupted, Marcus leaned closer. We'll know exactly what happened. Neither man noticed Denise walking past the office. She glanced through the glass window. She saw the loading bar. Her smile vanished instantly. Without another second's hesitation, she reached into her pocket for her phone. She dialed a number. The moment someone answered, she whispered urgently, We have a problem. Then she looked back toward the security office as the loading bar climbed to 50%. Something told her she was running out of time. We have a problem. Denise lowered her voice as she walked quickly toward the employee stairwell. The backup file is being restored. A nervous voice answered from the other end of the call. Are you sure? I saw it with my own eyes. What are you going to do? Denise stopped on the landing. I'll handle it. You'd better. If that video comes back, everything falls apart. The call ended. Denise slipped the phone into her pocket and forced herself to breathe. She had worked too hard to lose everything because of one cleaner. Not now. Not ever. Inside the security office, the progress bar finally reached 100%. Daniel smiled. It worked. Marcus leaned forward. Open it. Daniel clicked the recovered file. The screen flickered. Then the ballroom appeared exactly as it had looked before the gala. There it is, Marcus whispered. Fast forward. The video moved through guests arriving, waiters preparing tables, and employees making final checks. Then Grace appeared on the screen, carrying a stack of fresh white towels. Marcus nodded. Just like she said. Daniel kept watching. Wait. The server carrying the tray of wine entered the frame. Grace was several feet away. Everything looked normal. Then another figure quietly stepped into view. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Who is that? Daniel zoomed in. The picture sharpened. Denise. Marcus frowned. What is she doing? They watched as Denise casually looked around to make sure no one was paying attention. Then, almost too quickly to notice, she extended her foot. The server tripped. The tray flew into the air. The wine splashed onto Victoria. Grace rushed over with the towels. Marcus stared at the frozen screen. My goodness! Daniel couldn't believe it. It wasn't an accident. Marcus slowly shook his head. Grace never had a chance. Daniel reached for the phone. We have to tell the general manager. Marcus stopped him. No. What? We go straight to Ms. Ashford. Why? Because Grace lost her job because of her. Daniel hesitated. You're right. He copied the footage onto a secure drive. Just as he removed it from the computer, the office lights suddenly went out. Everything became dark. What happened? Daniel asked. Marcus looked toward the hallway. The power? Emergency lights switched on a second later. Daniel looked back at the computer. His face turned pale. The hard drive. What about it? It's gone. Marcus looked down. The flash drive that had been lying beside the keyboard had disappeared. The office door slowly swung shut. Someone had been inside. At that same moment, Grace sat in a small neighborhood clinic beside her mother. The doctor finished reviewing Evelyn's chart before removing his glasses. I'm afraid she needs to continue the medication. Grace nodded. I understand. There are also additional tests I'd like to schedule. How much will they cost? The doctor hesitated. Grace already knew the answer wouldn't be good. He wrote the amount on a piece of paper and slid it across the desk. Grace looked at it. Her heart sank. It was more money than she had left in her bank account. The doctor noticed her expression. I'm sorry. Grace folded the paper carefully. Thank you. Outside the clinic, Evelyn gently touched her daughter's arm. You don't have to do this. Grace smiled. You're my mother. I've lived a long life, and I want you to live a longer one. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. You've sacrificed enough. Grace shook her head. I'll find another job. You've been saying that for days. I won't stop trying. As they slowly walked home, Grace noticed an elderly woman struggling to carry several heavy grocery bags across the street. Without thinking twice, Grace handed her mother's arm to Evelyn. Wait here for a second. She hurried over. Let me help you. The elderly woman smiled gratefully. You've already got enough on your own, dear. Grace lifted the bags anyway. Kindness doesn't become smaller because we share it. The woman chuckled. I haven't heard words like that in years. Grace carried the groceries all the way to the woman's apartment building. When she returned, Evelyn smiled proudly. You just lost your job, and you're still helping strangers. Grace shrugged. They needed help. You've always been like this. Grace looked up at the sky. My father used to say, she smiled softly, never let someone else's cruelty change who you are. Back at the hotel, Denise searched every corner of the security office after Marcus and Daniel had left to report the power outage. She checked under the desk, behind the monitor, inside a drawer. Nothing. Her breathing quickened. Where is it? She had taken the wrong flash drive. The real copy was still missing. Someone else had it. Marcus and Daniel hurried directly toward Victoria's office. Before they could knock, Olivia stepped outside. You can't go in. It's urgent, Marcus said. She's in a board meeting. This can't wait. Olivia noticed their expressions. What happened? Daniel lowered his voice. We recovered footage from the gala. Olivia's eyes widened. And? It proves Grace was innocent. Before Olivia could answer, the conference room door opened. Victoria stepped out. She looked at the three of them. What is it? Marcus spoke first. Ma'am, we recovered evidence. Victoria looked confused. What evidence? Daniel swallowed.